Most kings are remembered for what they built. Erik Haraldsson is remembered for what he destroyed. By the time he was 30, he had murdered more of his own family than any enemy ever could. The Norse called him Erik Bloodaxe, Erik Bloodaxe, not because of what he did to his enemies, because of what he did to his brothers. Erik was the son of Harald Fairhair, the man who unified Norway for the first time in history. That made Erik royal by blood. But being one of many sons of a great king is as much a curse as it is a privilege. Harald had dozens of children across dozens of wives. The throne could only go to one. And Erik had already decided it would be him, at any cost. Unlike later kings who inherited power, Erik earned his reputation early. By the age of 12, his father sent him raiding. By his early 20s, he had plundered across the British Isles, Francia, Frisia, and into the Baltic. He didn't raid for silver. He raided because violence was the language he understood best. He was, by every account, Harald's favorite son. Fierce, ruthless, unstoppable. When Harald Fairhair grew old and began distributing his kingdom among his sons, Erik made his move. One by one, he hunted his brothers. He killed Bjorn the chapman in cold blood. He burned his brother Ragnvald alive inside his own hall, while Ragnvald slept, along with everyone inside. By the saga's count, Erik personally killed at least 2 brothers, possibly as many as 4. He didn't wait for his father to die. He started building his throne before the old man was in the ground. Behind every ruthless king, the sagas tell us, stood Gunhild. Beautiful, brilliant, and according to Norse sources, a practitioner of cider, the dark Viking magic of prophecy and manipulation. Erik's own contemporaries believed she controlled him, that she poisoned his mind against his brothers, that the murders weren't entirely Erik's idea. Whether that's true, or whether men simply couldn't accept that Erik needed no encouragement to kill, we'll never know. But Gunhild's shadow falls across every dark chapter of his reign. When Harald Fairhair finally died around 933, Erik took the Norwegian throne. It should have been the beginning of an era. Instead, it lasted barely 2 years. His surviving brothers hadn't forgotten what he'd done, and the Norwegian people, watching a king murder his own kin to seize power, began to ask a dangerous question. If he'll kill his brothers, what will he do to us? His youngest brother, Hakon, had been raised in England at the Christian court of King Athelstan. When Hakon returned to Norway, he brought something Erik couldn't fight: popularity. The people rallied to him. Erik's own jarls abandoned him. In one of history's great reversals, the most feared warrior in Scandinavia was forced to flee, exiled from the kingdom he had killed his family to claim. He took his ships, his wife, and his fury, and sailed west. England gave Erik a second chance at a throne. The Norse-settled kingdom of Northumbria, centered on the city of York, needed a strong king, and Erik was nothing if not strong. He was crowned King of Northumbria not once, but twice, the second time, after briefly losing the seat to a rival. He ruled from the great walled city of Jorvik, what we now call York. And for a time, it seemed like fate had given him a second kingdom to replace the one he'd lost. His end came through betrayal, the same weapon he had used on his brothers. In 954, An English earl named Maccus, working with the treacherous Earl Oswulf, lured Erik north into the bleak moorlands of Stainmore. They ambushed him there, far from his city, far from his ships, with only a small guard. Erik Bloodaxe, the man who had burned brothers alive, humbled England, and seized 2 kingdoms, was cut down on an open moor in the north of England. He was the last Viking king of Northumbria. After him, the kingdom fell permanently to the English crown. Erik Bloodaxe left no lasting dynasty, no empire, no kingdom that survived him. What he left was a warning, written in the blood of his own brothers. That power seized through violence must be held by violence forever. And the moment you run out of enemies to kill, your allies become enemies too. History is full of men who confused brutality for strength. Erik was simply one of the most Viking about it. Gunhild fled to Orkney after his death, and then to Denmark, outliving the man she may have made. The axe that carved a path through half of Europe now sits only in the sagas. But the name? The name survived everything.